to start with a bit of revision, and we'll start with a basic rectangle. So if we want to find the area of a rectangle, we know that the area of a rectangle is length by width. So whatever your length is and your width is, you're just going to multiply the two together. So this is, well, let's say, I think we always had this as width. So we'll put this as W and we'll put this as L. So that means if you know the numbers, if this is 3 and this is 5, then your area is the length by the width, which is 5 multiplied by 3, which gives you 15. And then your units, let's say centimeters squared if they were centimeters. So that should be easy enough to find the area of a basic rectangular shape. But what happens if it's not a flat rectangle? And by a flat rectangle in 2 dimensions, what I mean is something like a piece of paper. That's how you would find the area of a piece of paper. The problem is, what happens if you end up with something like this, where you have a box? There's a different way of finding the surface area. So what you've got to do is you have to find the area of each of the sides. Now, there's a short way of doing this, and that's what we're going to run through now. So let's say we take red here, and we're going to start with the front and the bottom. So, or the top and the bottom. So all along, this here is the top. So we can see it, and that's it pointing at it there. You also have the bottom. And that's the bottom down there. And what you'll notice about the top and the bottom is they should have the same area. So what we're going to have is we're going to have a top and a bottom. In fact, we'll actually plus those because we're going to add them together. The other thing then we can have, apart from the top and the bottom, is the side. So we've got a side running along here, and we have another side over here. So we have a side plus a side. And then the only 2 parts that we haven't done is the front and the back. So the front is here, and the back is out there. So your front runs from here to here, here, and here. There's your front. And the back, I'll do in green, runs from there to there, down to the bottom corner and back across to the far outside corner that you can't see. So that's your front and back. So we make a note of that. So we got front and back. Now all you've got to do is find the area of each of these. So for example, let's say you were asked to find the area. So let's say we had all along here as 10. And we had here as 6, and we had here as 4. So we have our 10, our 4, and our 6. So how do we find the surface area of this box? We have to find the area of each side. So we're going to start with working out the top. Now, when I want to work out the top, I'm going to have to fill in these numbers. So I know that if 10 is on the bottom, I know that this side is 10. And then I know that if this is 6 along this side, well then this also has to be 6. So if I work out the top, it's going to be 10 multiplied by 6. That's the area of the top side. If I work out the bottom side is also going to be 10 multiplied by 6. And then you just work out those numbers. So the top is 60 centimeters squared. The bottom is 60 centimeters squared, which gives us a total of 120 centimeters squared when you add them together. So that's our top and bottom. Now what we're going to do is our side and our side. So we have this side is 6 from our example, and we also have this side is 4. So if we want to work out the area of that side, it's just going to be one side by the other, which is 4 multiplied by 6. And 4 multiplied by 6 is 24 centimeters squared. Now, because the side and the other side is exactly the same, it's also going to be 4 multiplied by 6, because the two sides on a box are always the same. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a box shape. So that's also 24 centimeters squared. So the two sides added together gives you a total of 48 centimeters squared. And then the last one you've got to do is the front and the back. So again, we saw that this was 10 and we saw that this side was 4. This is 6, but that doesn't come into it at the moment. We don't need that. So all we're interested in is the front. So our front is the length by the width, which is 10 multiplied by 4, which gives us 40 centimeters squared. We have the back, which is again exactly the same, 10 multiplied by 4, because the back and the front are exactly the same panels. So that's 40 centimeters squared. And that gives us a total of 80 centimeters squared when we add them together. Now, that's the surface area of each of the sides, but you're asked to find the surface area of the whole shape. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to work out the side plus the side, the front plus the back, and the top plus the bottom. In other words, add them all up. So what have we got? We've got 120. So we're interested in this number here. We're interested in the sides, the total sides, and we're also interested in the 80. So we write down at the bottom, our total surface area is the area of all the surfaces. Total surface area is going to be 80 plus 48 plus, what was the number on the top? 120 plus 120. So that gives us a total of 248. It's in centimeters, and because it's area, it's centimeters squared. And that's our final answer, 248. Now, pretty much that's all there is to surface area. If you're given a box, you're going to have to break it down into its individual sides. Top and the bottom, work out what the area is for the top and the bottom. Work out what it is for the sides, and then work out what it is for the front and the back. And then add up all your totals, and you get 248. Right, so let's try another example. This time what we're going to do is we're going to take a cube. So in this next one, we're going to work with a cube. And this is done exactly the same way. So this is going to be surface area of a cube. But this is actually a little bit quicker. Okay, so in this one, we're going to look at the surface area of a cube. Now you can do it the same way as you did the one with the rectangular solid up above, but there is a difference with cubes. So on a cube, all the sides are actually the same. So for example, if this side is 6, and the height is going to be 6, and going backwards is also 6. So all the sides are the same. So if you were to work out one side, so how do you find the area of one side? Well, it's going to be length by width. So your length by your width here is 6 by 6, which is 36 centimeters squared. So that means if you take all of these sides, let's take a highlighter. So that means this side here, that side there, that's highlighted in blue, that is going to be 36 centimeters squared. Now, how many sides have we got on a cube? Well, it's going to be 6 sides. So that means you're going to take 36 plus 36 plus 36 plus 36. You're going to do it 6 times. You're going to add them all up. But an easier way to do it is take your 36 centimeters squared for one side and just multiply it by 6. So that's going to give you 216 centimeters squared. And that's the surface area of a cube. So it's really simple. It's much quicker to do a cube because all the sides are the same, rather than doing the total surface area for a rectangular solid where you've got to work out the front and the back and the sides and the bottom. You can see the top and the bottom here works out at 120, but the sides work out at 48. And then the front and the back is 80. So all the sides are going to be different. Whereas in a cube, all the sides are going to be 36 centimeters squared in this, so just multiply it by 6. Okay, so for your final two shapes, we're going to work out the surface area of a cube again, but this time we'll be given a net. So all a net is the cube opened out. So this is a cube where you've cut all the sides and you've just opened it flat. If you were to fold all these up along your fold lines here, you would be able to form a cube. Able to form a small box, but again, it's a cube, and that's what's important. The reason why it's important is if you have to find the surface area of this, we can see we have 8 centimeters already here. That means because it's a cube, every single side is 8 centimeters. Everything you're looking at there is 8. It's 8 everywhere. So how are we going to work out the surface area of this? Well, for a cube, you just work out one side. So let's say, for example, we get rid of all these 8s and we want to work out just one side. So for this question, I'm going to work out this side here. So if one side is 8, that means that side is 8. So that means one side, the length by the width, is going to be 8 multiplied by 8, which is 64 centimeters squared. So that's the area of one side. But how many sides do you actually have? Well, you've got one already colored in. There's a second one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 sides in a cube. So what you're going to have to do is 6 sides then is going to be 64 centimeters squared, which we got down here, and you're going to multiply it by 6 because you've got 6 sides. So 64 multiplied by 6 is going to be 384 centimeters squared. And that's it. All right, so let's move on to the next net, which is the surface area of a net, but this time it's a rectangular solid. Now what I would do here, again, same thing. I'm just going to remove the units just to make it a little bit clearer. I would go through and I would do each side. I would put all the sides in. So I put an 8 there. That means that's 8. That line is 8. That line is 8. If this line is 4 up the top, that means that line is 4. This line is 4. This line is 4. And then we've got some other sides. So this line is 5 here. That line is 5 there. And because they're folding up, if this line here is 5, that means this line here is also 5 because they're the sides folding up on top of each other. They have to be the same, which also means that this side here is 5 as well because they're the small parts. Now, if you're unsure, go through and label what the front is and what the back is. So I'm going to label this the bottom of the box. This part here, this is the bottom. So when you fold this up, where's the top going to be? Well, the bottom and the top are always the same side or same size. So that's got to be the top there. There's no other box there that's the same size as the bottom. Then I'm going to do the two sides. And that's obvious enough. So there's a side there and there's another side there. And then I'm going to do the front and the back. And the front and the back is what's left over. So this is your front and this is your back. And now you have to work out each one of the sides. So let's start with the top and the bottom, I suppose. Top and the bottom. So your bottom is 8 multiplied by 4. So that means your top is 8 multiplied by 4. Okay, so your bottom is got from 8 multiplied by 4, one side by the other. So that gives us 32 plus 32. And that gives us 64 centimeters squared. Then what we do is we're going to do our side plus our side. So our side is 4 multiplied by 5. So that's up here, 4 multiplied by 5. And then because the side on the other side is the same, it's going to be 4 multiplied by 5 as well. There you go. Get rid of that, make it cleaner. 4 multiplied by 5. So that gives us 20 plus 20 for the two sides. That gives us a total of 40 centimeters squared. And then finally, you've got the front, excuse me, and the back. And the front and the back then is going to be 8 multiplied by 5. That's going to give you the front, but the back is exactly the same. 8 multiplied by 5. So that gives us a total of 8 5s are 40 plus 40, which is going to give us 80 centimeters squared. So our total surface area is going to be all those numbers added up. It's going to be 80 plus 40. So we've got 80 plus 40 plus 64. And that's going to give us a total of 184 centimeters squared. And that's our final total surface area.